Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the political landscape of ancient India, and I'll be giving you an overview from the Paleolithic age till the post-Gupta period. So, beginning with the topic, you must be thinking of a question: what exactly do we mean by ancient history? The historians, in attempt to understanding the ancient history, talk about two sources mainly. So the historians, to reconstruct the past, rely on two sources mainly: the literary sources and the archaeological sources. Literary sources include religious texts like Rigved, Samved, Yajurved, Atharved, secular texts like Arthashastra, Kautilya, Megasthenes Indica, and biographies and foreign traveler accounts. Archaeological sources include coins, manuscripts, potteries, etc. But this does not mean that mankind did not exist before that. We all know that the four ages mentioned: Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, and the Chalcolithic were also present before the Indus Valley civilization. Then what makes the difference that Indus Valley civilization is the beginning of ancient history? It is basically the written evidence. We find the first ever written evidence of a script in the Indus Valley civilization. However, in the Paleolithic age, we see that there were rough tools and the specialization began in the later Paleolithic ages. And then in the Mesolithic ages, when the development of grassland was there, the animals increased, their grazing increased, and domestication of animals began from this. And then in the Neolithic ages, specialization began, and due to the harsh and warm climate, there was a sedentary life. What do we mean by sedentary life? In which the people had to, for example, like animals go in hibernation, they had to stay indoors for quite a time. So similarly, sedentary life, they had to remain in the caves for a larger period. So they developed the pottery, they started storing grain, so that is why the pottery came to be. Now coming to the Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization flourished between 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE, and these are the major sites. Now, why it is called the Harappan civilization? Because Harappa was the first site to be discovered in 1921 by Dayaram Sahani, followed by Mohenjo-daro by R.D. Banerjee in 1922. And then, as you can see, the major settlements are around the Indus river system. And these are the following rivers, tributaries of Indus: Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Sutlej. You must be knowing the ancient names. And we see in the PYQs also the rivers are mostly asked in the concern of ancient names. So, would anyone like to volunteer to tell the ancient name of these rivers? Indus, Sindhu, Jhelum, Vitasta, Chenab, Askini, Ravi, Purushini, Beas, Vipashan, Sutlej, Satupuni. So, the Harappan civilization is specifically known for its advanced urban planning, its grid pattern city, its great bath, citadel, lower town, etc. The economy was primarily agrarian. The trade was practiced with the Mesopotamian civilization, which is the Iran and Iraq part. And the culture part included terracotta figurines, craft was practiced in the Chanudaro and Nageshwar, and and seals and ceilings made of steatite and weights and measure made of church. What happened? What were the reasons for the decline of this great ancient civilization? It was basically the climate change, the river shifts, the possible foreign invasions, which we know the Arya invasions. Now, the new NCRT emphasizes that though we know it as the Indus Valley civilization, but the new NCRT asserts that Saraswati was the river where the major village settlements were present as we see. The cluster of villages were mainly around the Saraswati river system. That is also known as the Saraswati Sindhu Ghati Sabhyata. Moving towards the Vedic age. So the Vedic age spans from 1500 BC to 600 BC, and it is divided into early Vedic age and the later Vedic age. Talking about the political life, we see presence of small janas here. And then in the later Vedic age, they were developed into large kingdoms, monarchies, and Kuru and Panchal were the prominent one. Society was simple and patriarchal, and the Varna was based on the occupation system. It was not very rigid, but in the later Vedic age, it became solidified, and it became birth based, which is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Economy was pastoral, and we see cattle wealth because and in the later Vedic age it became agrarian because of the discovery of iron. We see market surplus, and then towns and trade came into being. Religion, here we see demigods, Indra, Agni, Varun, Som, and in the later Vedic we see presence of Vyajnu, which is Ashwamedh, Rajasuya, Vajpayee. And then women enjoyed higher status in the Rigvedic society. We all know Lopamudra, Apala, they were the part of assemblies. They were allowed to participate in Sabha Samiti, and they were composer of hymns as well. Literature, here is the here Rigved is the main source of information about the early Vedic society, and here Samved, Yajurved, Atharvaved, Brahmans, Arthas, and Upanishads. Sabha Samiti, this assembly of elders, and Samiti was the assembly of for example, we have today present day Gram Sabha, so all the lifestyle was nomadic, and here it became the proper town. So the systematic study of inscriptions began with James Prinsep, who was the officer of East India Company. He deciphered the inscriptions, the Brahmi script and Kharosthi script in 1837 and 1838 respectively. 1837 and 38 respectively. And with this, it gave opportunity to the European and the Indian scholars to better understand the ancient Indian history, because the inscription mentions Pir Rasi, which is Ashok, and this marked the systematic study to understand the ancient Indian history. After the Rigvedic and post-Vedic age, we come to the Mahajanpas. So, as we saw that Kuru and Panchal were already in existence, and then there began the conquest for power and consolidation of power. And we see rise of 16 major kingdoms. These are as following: Kuru Hastinapur, Panchal Kamvide, Kosai Shravasti, Vatsko Shambi, Malla Kushinagar, Kashi Varanasi, Vajji Vaishali, Angu Champa, Magadh Patiputri, Kedi Suktimati, Avanti Ujjain, Matsya Viratnagar, and Asmat Kotanhe. And these are the present day locations of the following Mahayagas. Very, very composed by Holy Asma. Of these 16 Mahajanpas, most of them were monarchies, but Malla and Vajji were the republics of the Ganrajyas. And हमारे जो महावीर and Buddha हैं, they belong to these Ganrajyas only. And then we see the rise of Magadh as the most powerful kingdom. So the reasons for the rise of Magadh were as follows. It was basically on strategic locations located near the bank of Ganga, so it served as a natural frontier. And then proximity to forests provided them elephants. Then they had accessibility to iron, which gave them iron weapons. And then they were fortunate enough to have these ruthlessly ambitious kings. These are the following dynasties which ruled the Magadh Empire. First of all, Haryanka dynasty, Bindusar, who laid the foundation of the Magadh Empire with the Rajgir as its capital. Ajatashatru, he is famously known for convening the first Buddhist council at Rajgriha. And then Udayan was the third ruler. He founded the city of Patliputra, and he shifted the capital to Patliputra. Then in Nag dynasty, we have Trishuna, who was the founder, and he temporarily shifted the capital to Vaishali. Then Kalashok, who convened the second Buddhist council. In Nanda dynasty, we have Mahapadmananda, who was the founding emperor, and then Dhananand, who was defeated by Chandragupta Maurya with the help of Kapilya, which is the hierarchy which follows.
Previous slides, yes. Okay, this is the idea of Nanda dynasty, Shishna, Harya, correct.
The Maurya Empire. So Chandragupta Maurya, along with Kautilya, laid the foundation of the Great Mauryan Empire, which was the first pan-India empire of the ancient India, and they laid the foundation in 321 BCE. This is Chandragupta Maurya and his mentor Kautilya. Kautilya wrote a Shastra, which gives us a detailed account of Mauryan military, economic, statecraft. Then Chandragupta Maurya had a battle with Seleucus Nicator. Seleucus Nicator was a general of Alexander who had Battle of Hydas Pass with Porus in the Punjab region near the banks of Jhelum River, and there Alexander was in victorious position, but he still let the king continue his ruling. So Seleucus Nicator was defeated by Chandragupta Maurya, and he got control of the regions of Afghanistan and Balochistan. And he gave his daughter Helena Nicator in marriage to Chandragupta Maurya, and he also got 500 elephants in dowry. Then Seleucus Nicator also sent Megasthenes to the court of Chandragupta Maurya, and Megasthenes wrote Indica, which also gives us valuable insights of the Mauryan society. Now, Shastra and Indica contradicts on one point. Would anyone like to tell?
Yes, very nice. Very nice. Yes. Yes, yes. Kindly reply. Kindly repeat your question.
Megasthenes and Shastra, Megasthenes Indica and Kautilya Shastra contradicted on one point, which was
not only one point, number of points. Kindly count the points. Yes. Slavery. Yes, very important. And what else? What else? Tell me about slavery. Yes.
So, Shastra gives us a detailed account of slavery in India, as we have seen from the Rigvedic society as well. Das and Dasyus, when the battle of 10 kings happened, we see this very prominent practice of slavery, which is Dasyus. And Shastra gives us a detailed account about that. But Megasthenes says that there is no slavery in India.
Very nice. What else? What else? Caste system. Correct. Very nice. Caste system. Megasthenes says no caste system, and he divided the Indian society in the 7 parts. Very nice. Well, it's good to see. This is the chance of time. Thanks.
So,
you can come in front of yes, yes.
And Mauryan Empire. We see that almost half of India was under the Mauryan Empire, and that is why he was also known as the Chakravarti Sangha. The Mauryan Empire was divided into 5 major provinces. Uttarpat had Pakshila as the capital, Dakshinpat has Suvarnagiri as the capital, Magad, Patliputra, Kalinga, Tosari, and Ujjainavani. Chandragupta Maurya in his later years observed Sallekan. He was so moved by Jainism that he embraced Jainism and he moved to Shravanbelgola, Karnataka, and observed Sallekan, which is fast unto death. And he left his empire for his son Bindusar, and Bindusar expanded the empire further south. Then after Bindusar, we see Ashoka the Great. Ashoka ascended the throne around 268 BC, after which he became India's most celebrated ruler. He was after the 261 Kalinga War, Ashoka was greatly moved by the massive bloodshed, so he embraced Buddhism and non-violence. For that he we see the major edicts, minor edicts, and pillar inscriptions of Ashoka. For the propagation of Buddhism, he also appointed some Magras to oversee that the disciples are following the principles of Buddhism as well. Before becoming the emperor of India, Ashok was basically serving as governor of Ujjain. So here we see the major rock edicts, minor rock edicts, pillar inscription. These rock edicts were basically in 2 main languages, Pali Prakrit, and the script which were followed were Greek, Aramaic, Brahmi, Persian. In the major rock edicts, the Mansehra and Shahwazgali, these were at the extent of northwestern India. So they were in the Greek and Aramaic scripts because of the subjects which were in the Greek region for their better understanding. And we see number of minor edicts in the southern region. This was mainly because Patliputra is at a very distance from the south part. So to oversee that the uniform governance is maintained, the main minor rock edicts are clustered there. And then the pillar inscriptions were around the area where Buddhism main sites were located. For example, in Lumani, Ashok's visit to Lumani is mentioned. In the Gali Saga, there was a description about first stoop construction. And in Jogad and Goli, there was mention of Ashok remorse over Kaling. In Shishupalgarh, there was first evidence of fortification.
The important is to find out. Right? They will ask me to find out. They may ask questions here also because even the NCERT mentioned this is specifically and they have given the picture. They have given the picture of the GN side which is Palgar. Yes, correct. Fortification, ancient fortifications. Yes.
Later, due to the weak successors, we see the Hazrat Maurya being defeated by Shunga dynasty, which led to the decline of the Mauryan Empire eventually. Coming to the post-Gupta period. Post-Gupta period, post-Maurya. Post-Maurya period flourished around 2nd century BC to 3rd century CE. Talking about Shungs first, questions for that. Orally very good. Shung dynasty, the Pushyamitra Shung was a Brahmin general and he promoted Hinduism, especially Vaishnavism and Shaivism, and also the Sanchi and Bharuch stupas built by the Mauryan Empire, they were renovated under the Shungs. Shungs were later succeeded by Kanva dynasty, they were also Brahmins, and for 45 years they ruled in place of the Shungs. And then Satavahan, the Deccan part of the Satavahan. So Satavahans rose to power in Deccan, and they were also known as the Andhras. They traced their lineage to their matriarchal side. So we see Gautamiputra Satkarni, who was the most powerful ruler, and he defeated Shaks in the western parts. And they followed the policy of religious tolerance. They were tolerant to both Brahmanism and Buddhism. And Nasik and Parle caves and Amravati Stup was under their patronage. Coming to Indo-Greeks, Indo-Greeks capital was Takshila. The famous ruler Menander or Milim, he had dialogue with Nagasen Milind Panho, which was on the discourses of Buddhism. And then Indo-Greeks issued gold coins in a portrait style, which depicted Greek feeling. Kshatrapas, these were also known as the Western Kshatrapas. They had their capital as Ujjain. And Rudradaman, who was the most prominent ruler of the Shaks, his Junagadh inscription about the construction of the Sudarshan Lake reconstruction. The Sudarshan Lake was originally built by Pushyagupta, who was a general of Chandragupta Maurya. So this was renovated under Rudradaman, and Junagadh inscription was in Sanskrit. So first evidence of Sanskrit inscription.
Very good. First inscription. First Sanskrit. Yes.
And Mathura School of Art also flourished under the Shaks, which was red sandstone sculpture. In the south, we see three mighty kingdoms, Cher, Chol, Pandya, and it is mentioned in the Sangam literature. The Kushan Empire were the Yuki nomads from the Central Asia. So this was the main evidence of their region, and then Kushans came to the western part of India. And Kanishk was the most prominent ruler. He was a patron of Mahayana Buddhism, and under him the fourth Buddhist council was convened at Kashmir, Kundalwan. Gandhar and Mathura school art both flourished under him, and the famous Silk Route, which connected India, China, and Roman Empire, was under the patronage of Kanishk. And they issued coins in large hoards, which were basically Greek Indian and Zoroastrian deities. So the large amount of gold coins were issued during the Kushan period. So this was the post-modern scenario. And then we again see a pan-India empire, which is the Gupta, mighty Gupta Empire. Foundation was laid by Srigupta in the 3rd century CE, and capital was again Patliputra. And Srigupta laid the foundation. Then Chandragupta first, who was the first powerful ruler, he strengthened his position by marrying the Lichvi Princess Kumar Devi. Then Samudragupta, who was the Napoleon of India, and he expanded the empire from the south. His achievements are recorded in the Allahabad pillar inscription, which is the Prayag Prashasti, written by his poet Abhishek. Then Chandragupta II had 9 Ratnas in his court, which are as follows: Kalidas, who was a playwright and poet; Amar Singha, who was a Sanskrit lexicographer, basically means the dictionary of Sanskrit. Then Dhanvantari, who was a physician; Kambu, architect; Balaruchi, barbarian and success explorer; Vetal Bhata, magician; Harisen, who composed Prayag Prashasti; Kama Pandap was an astrologer; and Varamir, who wrote 3 important books. And after Chandragupta second, we see Chandragupta who defeated the Hunas and defended the empire, and Kumargupta who was the under whom the Nalanda University was built. And the Gupta Empire was divided into Guptis, which was administered by Uprics. Then for districts we had Vishay, which was administered by Vishaypati, and Grams, which were administered by Grams. The important towns and kingdoms under the
Very important map. You will say very important map. Number of times, number of questions appear from this map. Yes. Finally, yes.
So the important kingdoms and towns I have mentioned here, and these appeared in the PYQs as well.
Yes, yes.
Mahastan, which is for famine management. Chandraketugarh, the terracotta art evidence. Tishupalgarh, ancient fortification, showed human art breathtaking. And Vidisha, यहाँ पे Lord Vishnu की figure है, वो जो Doris में दिखाया था.
Yes, yes.
And Udayagiri caves और जो सांची स्तूप है, वो यहाँ से सिर्फ 10 किलोमीटर दूर.
Yes, it is an MP. Yes.
And then these are the important forts, Bihar, and यहाँ पे Kodugla भी है, and Varupat, Sopara, and then there Kamri.
And this very good. Very good.
Then the guild system. Guild system is just like the modern day voluntary associations or pressure groups. Guild system was an association of artisans, merchants, or a group of professionals. They worked as banks, they lended loans, and they took deposits, and they decided the quality, production, trade, price, etc. of the goods. Then the coinage, punchmarks, coins, earliest evidence to the Martin but age only, and Indo-Greek coin, which was in the portrait style, and you see the Greek leaf here. Kushan coins, which were for three main religions, Greek, Judaism, and Zoroastrian. And then Gupta coins are of the finest quality, the purest gold coin. This is the Yodhaya type coin. These were the tribes from the Punjab and Haryana, and to depict their autonomy, this was their purple coin. The Iron Fusion Club, after the Chalcolithic age, which the first evidence was seen in the later Vedic age. And this is the Prairie transplantation, which began in the 6th century CE. Art and architecture, the modern art and architecture, prominent one was Barber Caves, which is Kumargari. It is believed that the second Buddhist council took place there. Sorry, third Buddhist council.
Yes.
Then Yaksh and Yakshini figures, these are the local folklore figures. And Sanchi स्तूप. Gupta art and
Say
architecture.
something about Sanchi.
Sanchi स्तूp under patronage of Ashok and Dashrath Maurya, and it was the dome-shaped structure and built on the relics of Gautam Buddha. It is of highly reverence for the followers or disciples of the Buddha religion.
Yes. And the earliest mentions of stupas are in Vedas. These are concept of stupas are pre-Buddhist. Okay? Very nice. And what else? It is mentioned in the Ashoka Puran that the Ashoka has built over 300. It is mentioned exactly. Yes.
And also these are columns which depicted narrative release about Buddha's old life, which is Jatak Tales.
Very important description. This is about that they have to write. Whenever there is a question about man's sciences, whatever this kind of description you have to read. You kindly elaborate again this. Yes.
These are basically the columns at the entry of the स्तूप, and they depict the Jatak Tales, which tells the story of old life of Buddha.
Yes. And the narratives of
Narrative beliefs.
Yes.
They basically narrate the story of Buddha. Gupta art and architecture, the first ever evidence of structural temples, the Shaktar temples. This is the Ajanta caves, known for the fresco and mural paintings, and dedicated to Buddhism. It has 30 plus Buddhist caves. Ellora Caves, the monolithic structure. This is dedicated to Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, and Udaygiri Caves.
Yes. Ajanta, Ellora, Udaigiri, Aap. These are the important states. Ajanta, Ellora, Udaigiri, and these. Yes.
And then concluding with the post-Gupta scenarios, again the kingdom was divided into multiple small kingdoms. Delhi was ruled by Tomar dynasty, Ajmer and Delhi Chauhan, Kannauj, Gadwal या Moghlis, Malwa, Parmar dynasty, Gujarat Solanki, जिनको चालुक्यास भी बोलते हैं, बुंदेलखंड, Chandeल dynasty, Tripuri के कचरी and Bengal Khan.
Very nice. Can you explain? Can you give the name of founder of this dynasty? Any proof? Any?
So in the north there was Harshvardhan dynasty.
Harshvardhan is from Vardhan dynasty. That is all right.
And then
Chandel, the major is Chandel. Who is the Chandel? Nannog. Nannog is from Chandel dynasty. Right? Parmat. Upendra. Right. Once UPSC has asked this question, once I think 2023 or 2021 UPSC has asked the question is UPSC in question, prelims question, they mentioned the dynasties and the founders, and they said we kindly messed. And then name was Parmat, Chandel, Solanki, that's chief. Continue.
and then the south Chase Pandya.
Very nice.
Any questions?
Yes. Any questions? Yes, Soumya. You have today you have written history. Yes. You can ask anything. Any first question you have? No. Yes. Anyone? Do you have any questions? Yes. Ah, you can ask. Yes. Yes, yeah. Any question? No. Yes. South man conquers क्यों नहीं? South की state conquer क्यों नहीं after Chandragupta Maurya? He is asking why any emperor after Chandragupta Maurya did not conquer the southern states. Yes. You can explain by this one. You can explain by yes, yes, yes.
फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये वाला मैप है, हमने देखा था कि यहाँ पे 6 फ्लोर पाते थे. लीडर अगर कोई कॉन्कर करता भी था तो इस एक्सटेंड तक भी आ पाती था. ये जो 3 किंगडम्स थे देवर वेरी माइटली एंड ये आपस में ही इनका कॉन्क्वेस्ट चलता रहता था. तो यहाँ पे इस वाले बेल्ट को तो पर्टिकुलरली आप एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री के बाद भी यहाँ पे हम लेटर चोज ही देखते हैं, पर यहाँ पे इस बेल्ट में कभी और कोई किंगडम आया नहीं, मेनली बिकॉज वो किंग इतने एम्बिशियस थे या माइटली. अगर कोई लीडर एक्सटेंड हुआ तो फिर नहीं लेते बिकॉज यहाँ पे पल्लव्स की प्रेजेंस थी, यहाँ पे चालुक्यों की प्रेजेंस थी. तो इन्हीं में ही आपस में हमेशा कॉन्टेस्ट चला है, लेकिन चेत और पांडे को कभी डिफीट तो नहीं हुआ.
Good explanation, but he gave some certain. She gave certain new facts. He explained the Pallav and Chalukya conflicts. This is very interesting. South Indian history. Later on, that conflict converted to the Chola and Chalukya conflicts. And the origin questions are still remains. Origin questions are still that why after Chandragupta Maurya, why did not any other ruler conquer the southern parts of India?
उसका एक रीजन वही था कि यहाँ पे विंध्या और सतपुड़ा
Yes,
बीच की प्रेजेंस
that is why reason. Very correct reason. Yes, you are correctly explaining. Yes.
जो नदर्न डायनेस्टी थी वो एक्लेमेटाइज नहीं थी सदर्न डायनेस्टी, मतलब सदर्न टोपोग्राफी के लिए.
Yeah.
ये काफी हार्ड.
These kind of words should be clear in her answer. Southern topography. You will be so happy. The examiner will be so happy that I think southern topography in these one line. You are in these one sentence. You are saying a lot. A lot. Southern topography. Yes. Actually, yes.
तो आपने ज्योग्राफी में भी देखा था कि यहाँ पे सारा प्लेन्स का प्रेजेंस है, तो सारी जितनी नदर्न डायनेस्टी था देवर तो वेरी हैबिटाइज टू द प्लेन। बट यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं वेस्टर्न घाट्स एंड ईस्टर्न घाट्स की प्रेजेंस है यहाँ पे। इतना ट्रॉपिकल में लाया करता तो काफी मेंटेन्ड क्लाइमेट है, यहाँ पे वेरिएशन है। सो यहाँ के रिलीफ में उन्हें एडजस्ट करना, यहाँ पे गुरिल्ला वारफेयर चलता था सबसे ज्यादा। तो नदन को उसकी भी कोई हैबिट नहीं थी जो यहाँ की आर्मी ट्रेन थी जिसपे।
The topography is different. Therefore, the workplace is different. The method and techniques are different. And it is not कि उन्होंने efforts नहीं दिए. Harshvardhan tried to conquer the southern regions, but Pulikezan defeated them. Right? Pulikezan defeated to Harshvardhan because plains में fighting करना and plateaus में fighting करना is a different kind of strategy, है ना? Very nice. Any other question? बहुत अच्छा, very happy. Thank you.